Hello and welcome to Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Today I'm going to be working on this model train. It's a 1/130th scale. It's a Matchbox Leslie, a model of Yesteryear. And this is number Y14 and it's called the Duke of Connaught. So just having a look at it here, somebody has painted it dark green and black. Should be a nice chocolate brown the base. And they've also slapped some silver paint on the underside there, quite thick. There's a few worn areas on the tops and on the edges there where the paint's been chipped off. Here's a quick shot of some of the detail inside the cabin. Here's a picture I made to remind me when I'm painting it what colours go where, because it's quite a complicated looking model. There's a lot going on with this one. So as usual, I'm going to remove the base by drilling out these two rivets, and I shall be putting a screw thread in the centre of those and fitting it all back together with a couple of button-headed screws. Now I'm leading by example here. A clean workshop makes for a safe workshop. So I'm cleaning up as I go. Here's a special little tool that somebody sent me. It's a handy little thing to have. It's actually made for splitting small models and parts apart, just like that, so it works quite well. These wheels are going to have to be paint stripped and repainted as well. There's a few of them on this. Oh, this one's actually broken. There's only one wheel on the front and there was only one wheel in the back, so I've got to make up some replacement wheels somehow. Now I'm just trying to prise apart the top green piece from the chassis at the bottom there, and it's a hell of a job. It's a real tight fit, but keep at it, and it's such a close tolerance fit, it really is. Testament to Matchbox's attention to detail. It doesn't help either though that it's been painted with this paint, which has gone in all the joins and basically glued the thing together and made it all the more awkward to pull apart. But eventually I get there, a bit of a wiggle and a tug, and it falls apart. Well, not quite. It was very difficult to do this. Right, there we go. Now you can see there are two distinct different castings here. Right, I'm going to paint strip this now, so I'm going to try something new out. Instead of tipping the paint stripper out, I'm going to fish it out with this spoon I've bent. How smart am I? It looks a bit too big to fit in the can, so I had to do another one, so this should work well. That's more of a suitable size. So I get my disposable food containers ready, and this is what I'm going to put the paint stripper in. Got my gloves on for safety. This stuff's nasty. And here we go. And it doesn't fit. It still doesn't fit. So I'll give up on that idea and go back to what I used to be doing, and that's just dunking a paintbrush in there and getting it out a bit at a time. Trying to sort of use it a little bit sparingly these days because it tends to go real quick. I usually tip it in, you know, and a few people have commented it's a bit wasteful, so I'm doing my bit for the environment, maybe. It does a really good job, and you can actually see underneath all that paint there some of the original colour. There's so many edges and corners on this model that it took me an absolute age to get rid of every tiny scrap of paint. It was just sticking everywhere. Every time I thought I'd finished, I'd find another bit. It was incredibly detailed, with many edges, corners, nooks and crannies. Here's a close-up of one of the wheels, one of the larger wheels. Quite a lot of detail in that, and it's amazing how finely cast they are. And these are the little ones. Look at the size of the wheel compared to my thumbnail. Now this is the model with all the paint removed, and as you can see here, I've started to file down the seam there from the two moulds, just to try and make it look a little bit more special, I suppose. I've seen other modelers do it from time to time. I thought I'd have a go. And then after that I give it a quick scrub up with this bronze wool. That's really good. It's a lot kinder than the steel wool people normally use. It's slightly softer. I can't get in there, it's too awkward, so I just quickly give a quick run around there with a wire brush. Look at that, there's a stoke box, whatever it's called, and levers, a couple of windows, there's even like a latch on the door to stop it flying open when you go over a bump. So eventually all the parts here are paint stripped and ready for an undercoat. I'm using the light grey again, one of my favourite products, Tamiya Fine Surface Primer. I'm holding the model with these hemostat forceps, whatever they're called, and just giving it a light coat because I don't want to hide all the details. Now you can really see it. There's little rivets all over this thing, and springs and bolts and all sorts of detail that normally you wouldn't see, but because we're so close up here, it's a real feast for the eyes. The base here, it says models of Yesteryear on there, Duke of Connaught. I just give that a quick spray of some satin black from a spray can, and it's one of my second favourite products, the black satin paint. Here's another close-up, so you can relish all the appeal of these models. There's even a little lever and hinge on the front end there. There's a number 3065, I think it says. And what is that thing that looks like a Bobby's helmet on the top there? I really should do some research because it's gold. You have to paint it gold. Now it looks like a big bell, so is it something to do with the steam or is it something to do with the bell ringing? I'm not sure. I don't really know much about trains. Because there was two wheels missing, the small ones I showed you earlier just before, I'm going to have a go at printing some replacements using my 3D printer. These ones have been designed in a program called SketchUp. And this is what I ended up with. Needed a lot of cleaning up. Still needs a little bit more doing to it to get rid of those strands and little bits and pieces of the plastic that are hanging around in there. But when I've cleaned it up, I paint it with some of this gunmetal grey, and all the wheels I paint in the same colour so they match, and at a glance, when it's all back together, you wouldn't know that they were homemade plastic wheels instead of the metal ones. Now, I'm not using my spray gun for these little parts, it hardly seems worthwhile. And the brush, of course, you can poke it through the spokes of the wheels and coat the individual spokes quite well in all areas, all directions. There's the larger wheels, that's all of them done now, I think. So how many wheels is there on this? 2, 4, 6, 8 in total. So 6 small and 2 large. I always keep some pre-cut little squares of kitchen towel so I can use to clean up my brushes quickly and easily. I don't have to go searching for a cloth or anything. And I keep all those paint brushes in a jam jar like that. So there's all the wheels set aside to dry. Now for the chassis, I've looked online at some pictures and it very closely resembles this chocolate brown colour. So this is a gloss brown and I'm hoping it's going to look pretty special. Just do a test spray on a little bit of card there, because I always do a test spray because if the brush is playing up, sometimes it might spatter the paint when it first starts, and that can be really demoralising if it's just pointing at the model at the time and you end up with big lumps of paint on it. So I always give it a test spray before I kick into the real thing. Because of the design of this model, it's very awkward to get overall 100% coverage first time because there's like hidden spots and ledges and holes and things in it. So I actually had to give them like 2 or 3 coats, all from different directions, just to make sure that the whole thing's done. Now what happened with this is, in these creases here, after I paint stripped it, there must have been some residue left behind, and that lovely green paint I sprayed on just before bubbled off in the corners, just on those archways there. So I've had to strip it again, and I don't want to go through this process time and time again until I get it right. So this time I'm using some thinners to try and clean this boiler and get any residue off of it, so that this time round when I paint it, look at that, it worked well, and there's no blistering or white patches showing through, or you can't see the undercoat showing through. And there's a picture of the... Now this model has a lot of gold highlights on it, and as you saw in that picture I made in the beginning, I marked where all the gold bits should go. And I'm testing out this new product I bought called leveling thinner. The guy in the model shop said it's really cool. If you're painting something by brush, he reckons it looks like it's been sprayed, because this leveling product makes the paint smooth all over. So fingers crossed, here I go. And I have to get into this, and something that I'm always anxious about, painting with a paintbrush, small parts, because it's very easy to stuff things up in the back of an eyelid. Don't want to put it on too thick, but I'm hopeful that the leveling agent will work its magic. And I think if you stick around till the end, you will see that in actual fact it worked quite well. The stuff wasn't cheap, I think it was $9 for a little bottle. And the guy in the shop reckons it's great, so we'll see. This is the first time I've used it, so if it doesn't work this time round, maybe it's operator error. It seems like it's thinning the paint, and the paint is fairly smooth. Now here's a nice surprise. I'm doing 2 of these today, and this one I thought, to be something different, I would paint this lovely burgundy red, because I felt it was a similar sort of an old-time English colour. So I've got the green and the red one. Now I'm actually putting on the homemade wheels on this red one, because this is non-genuine colour, and it's non-genuine because it's going to have plastic wheels on it. And I'm going to put the all metal wheels back on the original coloured green one. So, you know, this is more of a sort of a fun thing, this one. And I'm just making it up as a display piece only. I won't be pushing it around on the carpet, so it won't matter if it's got plastic wheels in there. I have to trim the axles down to make the wheels fit, because combined the 2 axle stubs are too long for the gap in the middle. Once I've worked out how long they should be, I'm now onto the assembly process here. I've pre-drilled these holes, but I'm just showing you as a demonstration that I just drilled them holding them in my hand, and then I used this 2M tap to cut the screw thread, and this is actually taking place now. I'm not pretending on this one. So after I've done that, I made up this little jig to hold the train upside down, because it kept falling over. There's just 2 little shot glasses there taped to a bit of card. And here's what the underside looks after I've refitted the screws. Quite neat. So that was the burgundy one, and now I'm doing the green one. These wheels I've painted silver. Again, just to kind of make things look slightly different and more interesting. Now this is strange, this boiler goes back in here, and Matchbox actually made like a lump there, like a key and a keyway on the front of the boiler. I can't imagine anyone could put that in around the wrong way, but I mean, it's physically impossible to put it in any other way because of those design features. There we go, it snapped together beautifully there. And these wheels just drop straight in. They look really special, I think, with the silver coat of paint on them. Makes it look so new and shiny. The base goes on. It's a bit of a weird one, that base. It can only go on one way round. It's got like a step at the back. It took me a little while to work that out. Put these screws in, and that's number 2 done. Mighty fine. I've just got to put a few decals on these models now, and they will be finished. These are homemade decals I copied off the internet and printed out on water slide paper, and I covered them with some clear coat to prevent the ink running when you put them in the water. So here's what we started with today. Again, this is the Duke of Connaught model of Yesteryear. Now this model reminds me of my grandfather. He worked for the railway companies in England during the steam era. He wasn't an engine driver as such, he was a wheel tapper and shunter. That meant that he could move trains around in the yard but wasn't allowed across the country. His primary job was to hit the metal wheels with a hammer and listen to see if they were cracked, because they would ring with a different tone. He got the sack from that job, however, because one day he replaced 18 wheels before he realised his hammer was cracked. And just for something special at the end of this video, here is the number Y14 Santa Fe Loco, which was also made by Matchbox around 1959 to 1960. I was lucky with this model. It only had a couple of chips and dings, so I just basically touched it up with the same coloured paints I used for the other models. Because of its relatively good condition, I didn't think it was entitled to a video of its own. I hope that you've enjoyed the show. Until next time, this is Marty saying goodbye. The chocolate train. Woohoo. Boop boop, chocolate train's coming in. Oh, freaking hell.